Hello everyone, Just Podcast TV is here. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified on new contents.
Episode 305. Actions. Zach had a slight impression of Wendy Hart. When he fought with Lance, she was one of the red flowers that Larry had contacted. However, he was in a hurry to promote Old Watson, so Zach did not expose her black information to attack Zach. If there wasn't any special situation, he wouldn't have exploded. After all, Wendy Hart was also making money for him. However, this Wendy Hart directly went against the boss today and even wanted to use money to smash him, the big boss, to death. This was not appropriate. Zach took out his phone and called Lance. At this time, Wendy Hart's face was still full of ridicule. Why? Do you want to contact the police or go directly to the press? I bet if you go to the press, all of my fans will support me and crush you with your slanderous ways. Zach sighed and said, You are really awesome. Wendy Hart originally wanted to be more awesome, but she was not sure whether Zach was calling or recording, so she did not say anything. But at this time, Zach did not need her to speak. What Zach needed was Lance's solution to this matter. After the call connected, Zach said directly, Lance, you signed Wendy Hart in your company, right? Lance? The old woman and the old man did not know who Lance was, but how could Wendy Hart not know? At the beginning of the year, Wendy Hart still wanted to find an opportunity to seduce her boss, Lance, but was ignored by Lance. At this moment, Zach actually called Lance directly and called him directly by his first name. Wendy Hart felt that something was wrong. If Zach was putting up a wall, then he had to have the ability to do so. Not everyone can know Lance's first name. She is showing off to me now. I bought a house, and she brought people to attack me. Now she wants to buy the house from me for $2.5 million more than what I paid for it. Because, she is really rich. Oh, right. Are the celebrities you signed in the company so rich and crazy? Zach asked with a smile, but Lance, who was on the other end of the phone, could not hold it in any longer. He never would have thought that the artist under him would offend his boss without any consideration. Boss, I know what to do. With Lance's response, Zach naturally did not say anything more. After putting away the phone, Zach lit another cigarette. I don't know where you heard the name of my boss, so you pretended to be on the phone to scare me? Let me tell you, I'm not scared. If you have the ability, ask my boss to call me right now. Call him again and ask him to call me. Wendy Hart looked at Zach and sneered. She was very proud and arrogant. It was unknown whether she was pretending to be powerful or really confident. However, Zach did not want to think about this anymore. He believed that Wendy Hart would receive the call very soon. Sure enough, Wendy Hart's phone rang after he smoked 3 times. Looking at the screen, it was a call from a client on the advertising endorsement side. Wendy Hart heaved a sigh of relief. It was good that it was not the boss. Then, she proudly showed off to Zach. Did you see that? The client called and is going to accept the endorsement again. One endorsement deal is worth tens of millions of dollars. I'm really not worried. I don't even know how to spend the money I earned. She was still acting cocky. Zach smiled and gestured with his hand. Answer the phone. I want to hear how much you can earn. Wendy Hart really pressed the hands-free button and even said in a lovely tone, Hello, you want to talk about the endorsement for me? The $15 million we talked about last time? I feel that the price is a little high. After all, we are friends. $13 million. I'll treat you to a meal for $2 million. It's like this, Miss Hart. My company doesn't want to hire you as a spokesperson anymore. So I'm here to inform you that the deal has been terminated. Goodbye. The cockish look on her face was still there, but her eyes were filled with confusion. She couldn't understand why a good spokesperson job would disappear just like that. Furthermore, It was under the condition of lowering her asking amount by $2 million. Unable to figure it out, Wendy Hart couldn't care less about losing face in front of Zach and her parents. She hurriedly called her manager. This time, she turned on speaker mode again. She had to scold her manager and get her confidence back. Hello, what are you doing? Are you a good for nothing? How are you going to let the lucrative endorsement slip through our... She didn't even finish her sentence. From the other end of the phone came her manager's rebuttal. You're good for nothing! You're not even a good for nothing! I'm not working with you anymore! You are on your own! When the beeping sound was heard again from the phone, Wendy Hart was even more confused. No matter what, she could not understand why the endorsement mysteriously disappeared, and the manager still dared to be so unreasonable and directly fire her? What exactly was going on? Wendy Hart felt as if everything was suddenly changed. She had a very bad feeling in her heart. When she looked at Zach, she saw that Zach was smiling from beginning to end. However, that feeling of smiling made her feel cold, like a smiling tiger that would eat people. Without waiting for Wendy Hart to think more, her phone rang again. She picked up the phone. This time, Wendy Hart did not dare to dial the hands-free button again. The 2 consecutive times had already made her lose face. Her old woman and the old man were also very anxious. They did not know why the world was coming crashing down on their daughter. The old couple had cheated for the first half of their lives. It was not easy for them to have a successful daughter, to bring them a prosperous life in the next half of their lives. They must not have any accidents. However, many things were obviously not based on their worries. They were worried that something would happen to them as usual. In the next 10 minutes, Wendy Hart received all kinds of calls. She counted with her fingers. From the first phone call, the endorsement had fired her. The manager had fired her. The supporting roles in 2 television series had fired her. The lead actor in a third-rate movie had fired her. The company had arranged 3 announcements for her to be fired. Almost all the calls were connected, and without exception, they were connected. There was only one sentence. Sorry, we will stop working together. Wendy Hart was about to go crazy. She didn't even know who she had offended and why the sky had suddenly changed. When she shifted her gaze to Zach, she suddenly recalled that it was Zach who called Lance first. Wendy Hart's eyes widened, and she panicked. It's you? Episode 306. Leave. Wendy Hart also realized where the root of the matter was. At the same time, she was also sure that the phone call from before was indeed from Zach to Lance. Otherwise, other than the company's boss, Lance, no one else had the ability to ban her and stop all her film resources, endorsements, and variety announcements. After flicking the cigarette ash, Zach maintained his smiling expression. It's me. What? You still want to beat me up? Wendy Hart did not dare. Furthermore, Wendy Hart was banned. She was the kind of person who had no way of surviving. Of course, she was anxious. Who exactly are you? Why are you targeting me? Why? Wendy Hart appeared to be very angry. I'm just a small actor. You have so much ability. Why do you want to make things difficult for me? Don't you think you're bullying me too much? Zach was stunned by the question. I'm bullying people. Big star Wendy Hart. You're not mistaken, right? I took a fancy to the house, and your parents came to rob it. They acted like they could do whatever they wanted to, even if I was the one who wanted to buy it first. Who gave them this kind of habit? You came back without asking any questions. When you saw me, you roared and wanted the bodyguard to beat me up. When the bodyguard was beaten down by me, you wanted to use money to buy my house. You said I bullied you? You're really interesting. You call yourself a small actor. Weren't you a superstar? Why are you calling yourself a small actor now? and you still have the face to ask why. Why would I target you? What did you do yourself? Don't you have any idea? Wendy Hart was rendered speechless by Zach's words. She did not even realize that she, who had been arrogant and high above everyone else, had now unintentionally shown a weak attitude. In front of Zach, she had very naturally disguised herself as a weakling. At this time, Wendy Hart's parents were also very anxious. They did not know what exactly happened, but they knew that their daughter had gotten into big trouble. The old woman's expression changed quite quickly and went forward to apologize with a smile. Boss, we are small fries who are not sensible. How can you lower yourself to our level when you are such a big shot? Doesn't this show that you have no magnanimity? Don't fuss around and spare our baby girl. Zach sneered. When I left last time, you showed me that your daughter is very stubborn. I told you to be honest and not cause trouble for your daughter. You didn't listen. Not at all at that time. But now that you have bullied me and realized that you can't bully me, you want to lower your head and apologize to me? Old lady, you're acting like a child. You are an old woman, and you should pay the price for doing something wrong. Don't you understand that? Zach did not want to let go of Wendy Hart. He did not have a good impression of someone like Wendy Hart, who had started to be arrogant after gaining some fame. It was very easy for a film company to trample Wendy Hart to death. It was not difficult to raise her back up again. For this kind of artist with a bad character, it was better to pull it off as soon as possible so as not to bring some trouble to the company in the future. At this time, Wendy Hart finally realized who was causing trouble for her and bringing such a huge disaster for her. Mom, didn't you say that he wanted to find someone to rape you? Didn't you say that he still hit my dad? Under Wendy Hart's questioning, the old couple was especially embarrassed. Didn't you always say that you were busy and didn't want to come back? It was only because you didn't want to come back that we lied to you to come back like this. Wendy Hart was so angry as she stomped her feet. I was tricked by you two old things to bully a man who is more powerful than me. To be able to call her parents old things, Wendy Hart was being very crass. After that, she said pitifully to Zach, I really didn't know the truth of the matter was like this. I was deceived by the two of them. That's why I was so angry just now. Don't be angry. I will apologize to you, okay? After saying that, she knelt on the ground and wanted to hug Zach's legs and beg him. However, just as Wendy Hart was about to touch Zach, she was kicked to the ground. Zach retracted his leg and sneered, You think you deserve to touch me? Get lost! Zach stood up and patted his butt, wanting to leave. However, Wendy Hart got angry and stood up. She shouted at Zach, Stop right there! Do you think you can stop me? Let me tell you, you can't control me. Lance might not necessarily listen to you. Even if he listens to you, I can still find films with others. Some companies are willing to accept me. Zach stretched out his hand and made a please go away gesture, then entered the villa. All right, Zach said. If you dare to come here uninvited again, I will break all your legs for you. Don't think I won't. Zach didn't even turn his head. He only left his threatening words on the spot and entered the villa. Wendy Hart gritted her teeth, but there was nothing she could do. The old woman went forward to support her. Wendy, quickly get up. It's not good to be seen by others like this. You are a big star. The old woman was trying to persuade her when Wendy Hart swung her hand and a huge slap landed on the old woman's face. If it wasn't for you two old farts, would I have turned into this? The old woman was stunned. Episode 307, No Finishing Blow. Zach returned to the villa and continued to chat with Kate and the designer about the renovation of the house. Regarding the small episode that happened earlier, he would not take it to heart at all. It was not worth it to waste his time and effort. He treated it as a trivial matter, but Wendy Hart would not. Getting up angrily, Wendy Hart scolded her parents a few more times, then picked up the mask and sunglasses, put them on, and left. When she passed by the Big Bear bodyguard, she was so angry that she kicked the Big Bear again. If this trash directly beat up Zach, then she wouldn't have to expose her identity and naturally wouldn't be banned. After kicking him, Wendy Hart turned around and left. She did not care about the old woman who was beaten up and the dumbfounded old man beside her. The old woman covered her face and asked with a trembling voice while holding her tears, "How did our daughter become like this? She actually scolded me and even hit me." The old man comforted her by the side. "Just bear with it. She was like this when she was young, before she was famous. Just bear with it, and she will take care of us." She was beaten up by his daughter, and the old man actually said to bear with it. This made the old woman especially sad. Ever since her daughter became rich, it was always her who mocked and bullied this and that. There was no time for her to feel wronged. Who would have thought that today she would really suffer more than she could imagine? However, there was nothing she could do. Who asked her to eat, dress, and live well? Therefore, no matter how unhappy she was in her heart, she could only bear it. She just felt so aggrieved. That night, Wendy Hart did not return home. Instead, she directly took a plane to her hometown. She had to find Lance and have a good talk. However, she could not even see Lance, so Lance did not see her at all. She waited at the entrance of the company until 10 o'clock in the evening before stopping Lance, who had just come out of the company. When the driver went to get the car, Wendy Hart quickly went up to him. "Lance, I was wrong, okay? I shouldn't have offended your friend, so just help me put in a good word. I don't want any resources. As long as you give me back what I used to have, I'm begging you." However, Lance waved his hand and pushed Wendy Hart to the side. "That's the big boss. He's the one who gave me my salary. Now that you've offended the big boss and you're begging me, do you think I can agree? Wendy Hart, you really have good taste. If you want to offend him, then offend him. The biggest one? You are awesome." The driver drove over. Lance got into the car and left, leaving Wendy Hart in a mess. She had heard about it too. There was a big boss behind the company. His name seemed to be Zach. However, she had never had the chance to meet him, nor was there anyone to guide her, nor was there anyone to pave the way for her. Wendy Hart was really furious. "It's all those two old farts' fault. It's not good to offend anyone, but to offend the big boss for me?" After angrily cursing, Wendy Hart returned to her residence in a daze. She had to think of a way to resolve this matter. It was obviously not possible to rely on Lance to resolve it. If it were her instead, she would not dare to take the risk of offending the big boss to rescue an irrelevant little actor. Therefore, Wendy Hart pondered over it. Since she was still on the main entertainment street, she quickly changed jobs and found another film company to sign her contract with. This way, she would be able to take away her contract of selling herself at Lance's side and also not cut off her acting path. The more she thought about it, the more she felt that this was the trick. Hence, Wendy Hart quickly contacted another company. "Job changing? Wendy Hart, you must be joking. Go online and check. How stinky are you now?" Wendy Hart did not understand what was going on, so she quickly went online. In the next moment, she found on the internet that Lance's company had officially posted an apology letter. The content of the apology was probably because their company did not have enough manpower, and they ended up signing Wendy Hart incorrectly. Now it has been found out that Wendy Hart had been a drinking partner before her debut. Even photos had been posted online. Wendy Hart was shocked at this time. When she was 18 years old, she had indeed been greedy for money, and then went to be a companion for men for a few months. During that time, she had earned some money. Now, she had already washed everything clean and even sent away those people in the past. Who was the one who opened it now? It was no longer important who had uncovered her. The important thing was that Wendy Hart realized that the comments on the internet were very consistent. Wendy Hart got out of the entertainment industry. Kate stayed in the Capitol for another 2 days. Kate chose the furniture buyer shop to fix the decoration style. After everything was done neatly, Zach and Kate went back. This house still indeed needed some time before it could be tidied up. The company had not moved over yet, so it was meaningless for the two of them to stay here. Furthermore, there were many things that needed Kate to sign and deal with in the company. Thus, the two of them returned to the company and continued to live a peaceful life. It was not until nearly a month later, when Zach talked about work with Lance, that he heard Lance talk about Wendy Hart's recent situation. She is quite popular now. Not bad. She has become the top star. She is at the Duncan Grand Hotel. Zach sneered. It is quite expensive to stay there. If we were to stay there for 2 months, we could line our floors with gold. Zach did not care about Wendy Hart. He would not let her go, but he would not beat her until she died. A month had passed. The headquarters of the company had been relocated successfully, and the new residence had been moved into fully. Everything had ended smoothly. They were all on the right track. Kate began to busy herself with her work, and Zach was not idle either. Dr. Dusty called. The hydrogen power system had been completed perfectly, and what followed was only some minor adjustments. Carson's side had already connected with the QZ group. The test line had already been turned on. They were preparing to build 5 test cars first. At such a crucial moment, Zach naturally went over to see it with his own eyes. After all, it was his first car. After bidding goodbye to Kate, Zach sat in the back seat of the car and looked at the documents. Donnie drove him to the airport. However, just as he arrived at the airport, Zach received a message from Felicity. She was the mute female bodyguard of Susie's. She had always been by Susie's side, so he did not know why she had sent the text. Curious, Zach opened the message. When he saw the first row of text, Zach was immediately shocked and furious. Susie was shot.